Hello again, everybody. This is video 2 that I'm making. I am in the same outfit. I'm making it the same day. So your first assignment of the big 5, as I call it, is what I'm calling the Complicity assignment. And there is on Canvas, if you go again to the navigation menu on the left, you can go to the Complicity module and you will see a one-page Complicity assignment write-up. And so I'd like to go through this with you briefly and then give you a few examples of how you might specifically approach this. Anne Applebaum wrote what I consider a rather provocative article in The Atlantic, which is one of my favorite sources. I get a subscription to it. If I could only get one periodical or one magazine, and I get many, this might be the one. Some of the articles are very conservative, some are liberal, so there's a fairly nice balance. She wrote this article called "History Will Judge the Complicit." The key word there is complicit. That's the crystalline concept that I'm interested in focusing on. It appeared in the July-August 2020 issue. And essentially it is arguing that historically and specifically, in the past and currently, people often abandon their principles, betray their own conscience, sabotage their own nobler instincts to go along in support of something corrupt, something immoral, something they know to be a bad thing. What I would like you to do after reading this, it's 35 pages on Canvas. It's only about 10 pages without the pictures in the magazine. But I think you'll find it interesting. The first part talks about the regimes of Stalin and of Hitler, very egregious, very extreme examples of where people who were decent people who went along for various reasons for these extremely corrupt regimes. And then the rest of the article pretty much takes on the Trumpian administration and chronicles how many people in that administration have gone along, or even if they have quit the administration, are still very reluctant and reticent to point out or whistle blow on what many people would consider immoral acts, immoral incidents, immoral activities going on. So what I want you to do is to consider in your piece that you write, about 3 pages, 1,000 words, give or take. I want you to consider this proposition of going along for whatever reasons in a broader frame or a broader context. And I think it is a valid contention that people do conform, that people do accommodate things that are in direct opposition with what they know to be decent and what they know to be moral. So as I have chronicled and articulated in the assignment sheet that you'll find, I say this: in your written response to the article, I would like you to consider the different domains in society where you see complicity manifested: fraternities, gangs, traditional bullying and cyberbullying, Wall Street, domestic politics, sexual politics. I'm suggesting that you do 4 paragraphs. I'd like you, A, to begin with a definition, an extended definition of what you believe the word complicit to mean. I'm not so interested in a dictionary definition. Don't use dictionaries or almanacs or encyclopedias for research. It's not research. It's just kind of data. So you might want to find or simply quote the article if you choose to give me a more elaborated extended definition of what this means. Use synonyms to accommodate. Secondly, I would like you to provide at least 3 examples from contemporary culture. Again, this could come from TED Talks, podcasts, social media, magazine, newspaper articles, books, movies, television programs, television series that explore incidents where people betray their own decency. And you are allowed for this project to either use 3 different separate domains or to explore one domain using 3 incidents. And I have an example. I saw recently on Hulu the series I May Destroy You, written by an African American who is very, very hot right now, particularly in England. Her name is Michaela Cohen. She wrote, directed, produced, and acted in this series called I May Destroy You, which essentially explores sexuality in heterosexuals, sexuality in gay relationships, and how people accommodate or don't really whistle blow or use the outrage that they should when somebody does something to sexually abuse them. And there are many examples in this series. It's a brand new series, and some critics feel it's the best content on TV right now. But it is called I May Destroy You. Again, Michaela Cohen is kind of very much in charge of this entire project. Another example might be on Wall Street. And if any of you saw the film with Brad Pitt and Christian Bale called The Big Short, where giving loans that were not financially sound and people selling off loans, making many, many people vulnerable. A lot of people went along and agreed to make money, shady deals, very unstable loans and unsustainable loans in order to make profit. Greed, going along with things that they knew to be wrong. Another example comes from a book that I have been reading. I actually finished reading, called White Fragility. It's on the New York Times bestseller list. Again, kind of controversial. You may not necessarily agree with everything in the book. Robin DiAngelo wrote this book. But again, it talks about how so many of us are complicit in racism. And I'd like to share just a little bit what she says. We see white solidarity at the dinner table, at parties, and in work settings. And many of us can relate to the big family dinner at which Uncle Bob says something racially offensive. Everyone cringes, but no one challenges them because nobody wants to ruin the dinner. Or the party where someone tells a racist joke, but we keep silent because we don't want to be accused of being too politically correct or be told to lighten up. In the workplace, we avoid naming racism for the same reasons, in addition to wanting to be seen as a team player and to avoid anything that may jeopardize our career advancement. So I'd like you to pick either 3 in the same domain or 3 in different domains. And thirdly, C, analyze why this occurs. Tradition, lack of education, lack of giving up membership and identity with a group, money, career advancement, careerism, fear of not going along with the status quo as being the outlier, or fear of losing love and respect from people you care about. And lastly, D, I'd like you to argue how complicity, how this accommodating and going along with can be overcome. In other words, how can society, how can families, schools transcend this phenomena of participating in that which we know to be truly wrong. In other words, to sabotage our own humanity. Lastly, I'd like to end by telling you how technically I want you to do this. Make sure you follow the MLA sheet at the back of the syllabus. The name block, the pagination, the title, double spacing. Again, about 1,000 words. I think 4 paragraphs would be a good strategy for you to keep it organized so it doesn't all blur and bleed together. Finally, I do want you to use other sources. I want you to make sure you include in text and on your works cited page the article. So for example, on your works cited page, you would put with the A's, Applebaum, the author's last name, comma, and the name of the article in quotation marks, the name of the Atlantic italicized, the date, and the pagination. If you use the Big Short, that of course would be film. Go to the MLA sheet on Canvas under handouts, or go to chapter 14 in your Lester book and see how you document a film on the works cited page. Or if you use the series, I'd be very impressed if you do. I May Destroy You. Again, that would be treated as a TV series. And in text, of course, you need to make sure you include the first word or words of whatever is on your works cited page. So the in-text citations serve or act as a code so I can get to its source, if you will, whether it's a TV series or a magazine or a book on the works cited page. So then if I choose, I can go track that source. I don't really care how many sources you use. I imagine you might have a source per example. I don't want these to be personal examples. This is an academic argument. You are responding academically, which essentially means that you're using sources that are current, make sure they're current, that have integrity to support what you're trying to convince me of. All right. I hope this is helpful. Make sure you contact Jasmine or Margarita to give you any kind of assistance. They will be very happy to do so. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.